Joining us now from London is finance entrepreneur and geopolitics expert, Roger Gewolb. Roger, so great to speak with you. Look, you're a friend of Donald Trump. You've spent time with him at Mar-a-Lago. How are you feeling about today?
I think I'm feeling apprehensive because I think that he will win, um, but the Kamala Harris backers are all very confident, and it just worries me the emotional appeal that she's launched in her campaign rather than dealing with the actual issues. It does seem to have attracted, frankly, a lot of women and younger women in particular. And it's a knife edge. The predictions are at this very moment, the latest predictions that I've heard coming. I mean, it's incredibly exciting. I've never seen a campaign like this. It is so exciting, especially here at 1:30 in the morning. Being on these conversations with people in the States, they're going crazy there. It's either going to be the narrowest of victories for Trump or the narrowest of victories for her, or a landslide for Trump or a landslide for her. This is what they're saying. It could be any of those things. Nobody can
Mm.
call it. So a
What
lot
are
of apprehension.
what are the consequences of a Harris victory?
I think that unlike perhaps any time in history, the world and all of us in it will go in two hugely different directions depending on which of these candidates wins. Um, the exit polls that came out recently showed a tremendous difference, Gabriella, in the motivation of the voters. For
Mm.
example, the Trump voters mainly were focused on the economy and immigration and issues like that. These were very, very low down on the Kamala Harris voters. They were more interested in the state of democracy, whatever that
Yeah.
means, and abortion and other things that have got very little to do with the challenges that face us today. The economy, Russia, China, Middle East, Ukraine, one thing after another. I mean, they seem to be, if you look at those exit poll preferences, they seem to be living in a kind of a Kardashian-like dream world, these voters. And if they carry the day, I think we're going to be living in a very strange world indeed.
If Donald Trump loses, what happens to the MAGA movement?
Um, I guess it'll be to J.D. Vance to carry it on and run again in the next election. I don't think it will fall away, and I think he's the perfect guy to carry it on if he feels that he's up for that. But I don't even want to discuss Trump losing because I'm just pretty convinced that he is going to win because that's the other thing, that both candidates are now in the last few hours at a stage where they're each of them saying we've got this.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really crazy. It's almost fun to watch. But you've got to be reasonable. You've got to be rational. You've got a man who was president and had, as far as I'm concerned, an extremely successful presidency, more money in the pockets of Americans than any president in hundreds of years, no wars, no border immigration problems, etc. It goes on and on. Versus a lady who nobody would back, nobody would endorse, couldn't get voted into the primary, who, because of failing old Joe, was made a superstar overnight. And they're promoting the heck out of her. It's just the most cynical thing I've ever seen. But America is crazy enough. People are crazy enough. I think it was Winston Churchill said, "If you wish to know what is wrong with democracy, just go and speak with any voter for 5 minutes." So, I mean, it could go either way, Gabby.
Mm. Do you think it's an emotional day for Donald Trump supporters? It was only a few months ago he was nearly assassinated.
I know. The fervency of the loyalty towards him is unbelievable. I mean, I'm talking to people who are sitting at this dinner at Mar-a-Lago for all of his friends and supporters and family and everything. I mean, his people love him to bits, and I think there are so many people who see what he represents compared to what the Democrats represent, which isn't real. It's not authentic. And I also think I haven't mentioned, I should have mentioned, I do think this whatever it is story of all the silent Trump voters, the people who don't want to have arguments and fallouts with their family and friends because they're going to vote for Trump, but haven't really made a lot of noise about it. They may very well come out and shift things too. I mean, if we see a big Trump landslide, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me say this. There are so many polls from so many, as you well know, so many different kind of polls and pollsters, and they're all saying so many different things. It's so confusing. I've tried to put them all together on the back of a wet beer napkin, and it basically comes out that the polls have got her at 48 and him at 47. So it's very close, but she's ahead. The thing is, with a poll, you can say something to a stranger on the phone and change your mind 5 minutes later. But with a bookie, you've got your money where your mouth is. And I should say the bookies have got Trump miles ahead of her.
Yeah, we have seen that widen in recent days. Look, you're in London. What does a Donald Trump victory mean for people in the UK?
I think many people in the UK feel that Trump would be very good for the UK. They are very tired of politicians gaslighting them and not delivering and then lying to them about why they didn't deliver. And we certainly, only 20% of Britons voted for Labour, but they got in because, a lot of people didn't vote. I think they also see Trump as somebody who would straighten out this Labour government, which is quickly turning into a very serious socialist entity, raising the highest taxes we've ever had, even higher, freedom of speech being clamped down, all sorts of other things. I think they see Trump as straightening these people out. He wouldn't be afraid to stick his nose in. So I think many Brits don't like him because he's too American, too loud, too aggressive, too assertive, too blah blah blah. But I think secretly they want a strong person to solve the mess that we're in.
And also, I suppose this has been a key point for many of Trump's supporters, how he will handle foreign policy compared to Kamala Harris. What's your take on that?
Well, I've written about this extensively. I just can't picture Ms. Harris sitting down with Putin or Xi or anybody who's going to be aggressive with her. What's she going to do? Start cackling and throwing out word salad and be tough and threaten? Or is she going to have Obama do it? Well, he's an appeaser too. I mean, the foreign policy is going to be totally different. But on this exit poll I referred to, for the Democrats, foreign policy is, I think, the lowest percentage of interest to them.
Interesting.
Whereas I think it's 55% for Republicans. The Democrats don't seem to care about it at all. It's unbelievable. They care. Yeah.
Watching Kamala Harris, I suppose, campaign in the last few weeks, the last few months, has she improved at all in your view?
I want to be a good guy and I want to be fair, but no. I mean, I'm still not swayed or convinced, and she's just not presidential, and I don't think she will protect and defend the United States and the rest of the free world, certainly not in the way that Trump would do. Would she do a better job than Joe Biden? If that were true, we would have seen her do something in the last 3.5, almost 4 years.
Mm. And finally, Joe Biden, he seems to have really hurt Kamala Harris's campaign in recent days. Has that been deliberate?
I think so, probably. I think he's feeling a bit cantankerous. But, you see, the real question that I keep asking people is, why is Biden still president? If he wasn't, I've mentioned this on your show before. If he wasn't capable to stand again as president, why is he serving from the day that Kamala took over as the candidate until January 20th? Why is he allowed to serve? If you had somebody you wanted for president, wouldn't you want them in office the next day? Why would the Democrats give up, I ask, the strategic advantage of having your incumbent in place as an incumbent, running the country already, showing what they can do? It's a natural shoo-in. Why would they give that up? I'll tell you why. Because they're afraid she would screw up before the 5th November and their goose would be cooked. And that's why they've left him in place.
Roger Gewolb, it has been so great to speak with you on Election Day. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.